What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Julian J. Rock Williams. He says that Deontay Wilder does not possess skill at all. Now, anybody that knows Julian Williams is a super welterweight unified champion. He upset Jarrett Hurd to obtain his belt. Actually, they are waiting for a rematch or something another to that effect. He upset Jarrett Hurd, and he is on an incline in the boxing world. Okay, he's a unified champ. You know, he took a loss, he learned from the loss, and he upset Jarrett Hurd. Now, what do I have to say in agreement to Julian J. Rock Williams? First of all, I don't think that people understand Wilder. When you say he has no skill, what they mean is, I think what they mean is he's not a conventional fighter. Okay? He's not. He's not a conventional fighter. He doesn't have conventional skills. That's the word I'm looking for. Conventional. Now, with Wilder, he has the unfortunate thing, since he stepped up in competition, if you scratch the Dominic Brazil fight, because that was a quick night of boxing, a quick night of boxing for everybody. All the other fights that he's been involved with, Ortiz, Fury, Ortiz again, he's had some trouble. You know, if he wouldn't have hit Ortiz Saturday night, we would have been looking at the first Cuban heavyweight champion. Okay? And the one thing that people look for, he depends on. Now, you can look at it like, hey, Deontay Wilder, speak it, believe it, receive it. He must have some hell of a faith. He must know when it's going to come. Even he'll tell you, I don't know when the knockout's going to come, but it's going to come. That's what Wilder looks for. Now, does that make him unique? It does. To a certain degree. To a certain degree. A fighter that fights nothing like him, but it does remind me of the same concept, which is David Tua. Okay? David Tua was that same type of fighter. He was the guy that if he did not get the knockout, he was going to lose, because he was losing most of the fight anyway. Okay? That was David Tua. And it was a lot of fights that he did lose, especially when he rose to the competition. And a lot of times it was people that he didn't supposed to beat, he caught with a left hook. You know? And it would either be a long night, a very long night, or a short night. One of the two with David Tua. And with Deontay has got up to 40 fights, 40 plus fights, and still doesn't know the basics, which now that's more of a challenge. That's why now people like Julian J. Rock Williams will criticize him. You know, a lot of other people will criticize him. You know, Mayweather, he can't punch at all, which is ridiculous. It's absurd for him to say that. You know what I mean? No disrespect to Mayweather Sr., but what he's saying doesn't make any sense. Okay? Where when you're referring to having no skill, conventionally, he doesn't have any skill. His skill is very poor, but he has other things, you know? And in fact, Deontay Wilder he preaches this. It's not about skill. That was one of the first things that made me look at him side-eye. Okay? Was the fact that he said, with power, you don't need skill. Now, the funny thing about that is, the irony of it is, he's proven people wrong. You know, he's trying to sharpen up a bit. He wasn't as wild in his last fight. But in the grand scheme of things, he is still that guy that is knocking people out. Okay? However, I feel that a lot of his fights has been repeated for a reason. You know, I don't have an agenda. I see what I see. A lot of people, you know, I have beliefs about Wilder and his management and, you know, so have you, and why certain fights are being picked, obviously. So we'll bump heads, especially with people that are Wilder fans. But to say he has no skill, you know, no, he has no conventional skill. He doesn't. But that the whole thing about Wilder, he'll tell you, he's not worried about conventional skill. He's worried about his will. He's worried about his attributes, his speed, you know, his toughness, his power. Those you can't learn in the gym. You know. Unfortunately, the sad thing about that is he hasn't really learned anything in the gym that he uses in the ring. That's why, by default, he has a lot of injuries because he doesn't know how to properly punch. So that tells you, well, he doesn't really do much in the ring that he's learned in the gym. So, you know, that's one of those things that you have to look at when you're dealing with Wilder. You know, you have to respect Wilder to be Wilder. You can't expect Wilder to change now. He's not going to change. You know? You know, and that's pretty much that with Wilder. That's the doctrine that, and well, the reality that you need to understand. When you're talking about Wilder, you're talking about a person that has a perfect name for who he really is. He doesn't follow the rules of boxing. You know, he has his own philosophy of how he does. He sees something in there. Think about the Spilka fight. He was losing that fight. But what happens in the Spilka fight, you know, he felt that he was trailing, and he saw that opening, and that opening closed the show. One knockout put Spilka damn near in the hospital. In fact, he did go to the hospital because he caught him with that right. But it's something that he sees. It's maybe something that you really don't see outside looking in, but he knows what he's looking for. And that one trick that he uses, it's hard to talk about that one trick because you have to stop him from doing that one trick. So that's the significance of it. So when you talk about Wilder, yeah, when you talk about no skill, no, he doesn't use skill like other fighters rely on because he has all these other attributes. He's, like I said, he's tall, he's quick, he's tough. He has that power. A lot of those things you can't even do in the gym, you know? So the gym doesn't really mean much. He doesn't even really train properly. You know, now he does a lot of water work. I thought that was actually extraordinary and unconventional, but though effective. That's the thing. If you're talking about Wilder and you say he has no skill, how effective is he by getting these guys out of there? You know, he's taking these guys off and almost taking their head off with the power that he has. You know, now the downside to that, if he ever meets someone, and he had a taste of that last year with Fury, that won't and can't get hit with that right hand. He won't allow Wilder to get off with that right hand. Wilder will lose easily. Why? Because he can't land the one thing that he's good at doing. Okay? Because it's so limited. But the thing that he's actually doing is effective. Okay? And he's done that time and time again in all of his fights. So that's what makes it makes it intriguing to see, hey, this guy going in, you know he has to land the right. if he doesn't land the right, he won't win, basically. He might jab here and there, but nothing else. He's not going to give you combos. He's going to wait. He's going to sit there. He's going to stay poised. He's going to keep on. He's going to stay patient until he finds that opening, like he did with Spilka, like he did with Ortiz. You know? Now, the first fight I feel was a little sloppy, but the second fight, there were no fouls. There's no excuses. He caught Ortiz. Ortiz, again, didn't respect it. Ortiz had got it in his mind, oh, this is easy. I'm going to get this kid out of there. Boom! Good night. So back to Julian J. Rock Williams, a person that depends on his skills that he's learned in the gym. This is a different ballpark because it's a totally different way of how Deontay Wilder approaches a fight. But that's my counterpunch on that. You guys tell me what you think about Deontay Wilder. Of course, please subscribe. And Julian J. Rock Williams comments. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.